Okay. I'll get right to my questions then. Thank you, Minister. It's been a long time coming since my initial questions in October of 2020 were unanswered regarding the Softwood Lumber Agreement. In 2015, your government stated it was going to get a Softwood Lumber Agreement signed within its first 100 days. We then saw the President, then Obama, attend our Parliament, but no agreement. We have since seen record tariffs on our Canadian lumber producers of up to 20%, and over 20% actually. We saw that in August 2020, as you referred to, the WTO has unanimously ruled with Canada. Then the US appealed that decision in September of 2020. My question to the bureaucrats in October of 2020 was, can you update us on this important file? But now I'm going to be more specific, understanding that you recently had a bilateral meeting with the new Biden administration. Was a Softwood Lumber Agreement or softwood tariffs on softwood lumber specifically brought up in the bilateral meeting between yourself, the Prime Minister, and President Biden, as there was no public mention of that, our forest sector at all, for that matter, that had been discussed publicly?
I want to thank the honourable member for that important question. And let me start by saying how important the forestry sector is, as you rightly pointed out, and whether it is sawmills or trucking or logging and all of the incredible businesses and the Canadians and the workers that this sector supports. So very, very important. And I want, I want the industry to know how important they are to our government.
Minister, the question is about whether the Softwood Lumber Agreement was discussed in the bilateral meeting. My time is very short. That's why I just need you to answer the question. Thank you.
I raised softwood lumber.
Minister, you talked about softwood lumber, but did you specifically talk about a Softwood Lumber Agreement and that being renewed?
Let me assure the honourable member that Canada firmly believes that a negotiated settlement to this dispute is in the best interest of of Canadians and the Americans, and we know that the duties are hurting both businesses on the Canadian side, but as well as in the U.S. I'm looking forward to speaking to the new U.S. trade representative.
Was the Softwood Lumber Agreement specifically discussed in that bilateral meeting?
I'm looking forward to speaking with the new U.S. trade representative upon her confirmation. This will be an item that is of priority for me to raise. There are synergies between our two countries, as all have seen in the roadmap, for a renewed U.S.-Canada partnership.
That sounds great that you're working in this direction, because frankly, we haven't seen much support for the forest sector from this government. Again, we saw the promises of a Softwood Lumber Agreement within the first 100 days. Again, crickets since then, and we hear just more talk. No specific commitments from you to getting a Softwood Lumber Agreement across the table and getting it signed by both countries. I've heard no commitment in what you just said. I guess my other concern is the billions. There are over $4 billion in softwood duties that are being held currently. This is money that's really been held from Canadian producers. I'm going to ask another question. Has this money been discussed about when this money will be returned to Canadian producers?
As I said to the honourable member, I intend to work with my U.S. counterpart to find a solution to this issue. And I am hopeful that we can reach a mutually accepted outcome. I would point out in response to his question that the Canadian government has provided tremendous support to the sector. It is incredibly important. Helping the sector innovate, diversify, and find access to markets so that we can create terrific jobs across the country is something that we are absolutely doing hand in hand with working with the Americans on what we think a negotiation settlement would be.
Let me just in the best interest. My time is probably done after my comments. Is it again a lot of that is it's a great word salad. It sounds great that you're working with our counterparts to the south. It's all talk, and it's until we see actual commitments to renewing that particular agreement. When we were in government,
thank you, Mr. Zimmer. That's all. That's all your time. I appreciate it.
We saw the agreement renewed.
Mr. Zimmer, thank you. Your time is up. All right, Mr.